Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the UPIKE Football Coaches Show. We're live at Buffalo Wild Wings in Pike. Well, come on by and see us. Have some wings, have some chicken, they say they've got a really good sandwich here on the menu that I haven't had yet. So come on by and try all that sort of stuff and see some of these football players here that are rolling in here. I'm Rick Bentley. Coach Corey Phipps is sitting right here. And, Coach, a nice win last week over Union Commonwealth University. I had to get that in just in case any of the name police are watching.
That's right. They went through a little bit of a name change, didn't they?
Did. Well, we feel some sympathy for them because we did that a few years ago too. And like us, they were smart to keep Union in the name. We kept Pikeville in our name, which worked out really well for us in the transition. And they're good. Once you reference them as Union Commonwealth, just call them Union, and they're good with it.
That's right.
So how did you look last week? I got to watch. I had soccer, and I got home. I started watching it early in the second quarter.
Yeah, I felt like we came out offensively, looked pretty good. Had a little bit of a hiccup in the return game, gave them short field and opportunity to score, and it was a little bit of a fight there for a little while, but we just kind of stayed the course, and defense settled in, and offensively we just kept trucking and kind of pulled away and separated as the game went on. Rick,
getting ready for the game notes for this week, I noticed the transition for Amon Williams has been dramatic. First three games, he had about 89 yards rushing. The last three games were all 100-yard games.
Yeah, he's really settled in and kind of figured out the speed and how to pace things, and probably a little too fast to the hole there in the early going of the season, and really settled into pass protection, and probably early on we were, still figuring out some things with a new offensive line coach and the run game and some of those things and some new starters at center in different spots. So I really think the O-line and Amon have really settled in as we progress through the season.
Interesting that you say that he was hitting the hole too fast, because typically what you hear the difference in high school and college is how much faster the game is at the college level.
Yeah. You got to be patient. You got to let those offensive linemen work on their double teams and get up to the second level, those linebackers. And I think that's when you're a zone kind of running scheme like we are, a little bit of gap scheme, but mainly zone. It takes a little while for high school running backs to kind of figure that out. And he was on our roster last year as a redshirt, but it's all different when the bullets are flying at you.
That's true. That's a good point. And then, Coach, on the defensive side, things are getting better play by play. The big plays are still a problem for us.
Yeah, we've got a few coverage issues still. You saw that in that game even. And then, a few of their scores came late as we started to
yes, it did.
Rotate some guys and get some young guys some reps who deserve it, who really battle every day in practice to give us good looks. So, I wasn't real concerned with those. Those are things that those guys are going to grow up and fix, in the late going of the game. But, for a couple of those early on, we had to make some transitions and some changes and some things as the game progressed.
And then it's interesting that in our conversation on Monday, Lee threw that interception late, and you said – we were trying to get the ball to somebody who hasn't scored.
Yeah, that's right. We might have been a little greedy, but we were trying to get some love and spread the wealth. And Lee's really good about that. The touchdown Tyrese Christian had, was a one where Lee wanted to make sure I was not calling the ball to him. He'd had enough for today. He wanted all his guys who work really hard to make sure he's successful to have it. And we were both on the same page there, so it wasn't big ordeal to do that. And I think Lee played fairly well outside the one interception, and some of those things. Obviously he was offensive player of the week again. But he's putting up big numbers. But it's really because the receiving core and the offensive line and the running backs and tight ends are doing such a good job of being where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there.
I got to see Lee about Tuesday this week briefly. We were at Table 99 at the same time, and I wanted to ask him, because the last time he told me, last time he won, he said, you shouldn't have nominated me, you should have nominated Amon. Yeah. And I wanted to ask him, are you happier with this because you got to share it with a teammate, because we had a special teams player of the week this week too, so not just him.
Hodo did a great job on that punt, blocking it and scooping it and scoring it, and, so you got some love there. It was good to see somebody in the specialty group, and, they've played really, really solid this year, but really, really solid sometimes means that nothing spectacular is happening.
Right.
And you want to just be steady Eddie in that group with the special teams guys. And, we've done that and been probably vastly improved in our coverage teams than we've ever been. But, the opportunity to block a punt there and score was awesome for Hutto.
I'm going to start Saturday from the beginning of Saturday. Saturday's a big day for us as
Yeah.
a university, Hall of Fame weekend. We have two young ladies going in who I was blessed to get to see play here. Hannah Vincent, a softball player, Kella Eldridge, a women's basketball player. Kella was on the national tournament team that made the run all the way to the national semifinals, and she went 11 for 22 from the arc in the national tournament. That's pretty good shooting, no matter where you do it,
no
in your
doubt.
backyard, whatever you're doing. She did it, and most of that came in the quarterfinals and semifinals of that tournament.
Yeah, and to be a little bit of an outsider coming in here 4 years ago as the football coach, and then transitioning to the additional role of being the athletic director. I got to sit in some of these meetings with you guys who've been around here a little while to talk about, who's worthy of being part of the Hall of Fame here at the University of Pikeville in our athletic department, and just listening to the stories and the careers that those two young women had were tremendous. And, as a father of three daughters, you want your girls to grow up to be, really, really stellar people like those two are. And so I've really enjoyed sitting back and listening, and as we continue to grow the Hall of Fame, who's going to be next, and what student athletes are currently in our athletic department of nearly 650 that are going to be Hall of Famers someday.
And the problem we had this year was those weren't the only two we wanted to induct, but
Yeah.
some of our alums that have spread their wings, and we had one in California we wanted to induct, and one in Ohio who could have gotten here, except his son is in that year where he's playing on the varsity on Friday nights,
Yeah.
and then he's playing a lot on the JV on Saturday mornings. So it's a little bit of a problem for him. We'll get those guys in later, but these are two very, very, very deserving inductees, and so we're looking forward to that on Saturday at noon on the 7th floor of HPE. So we're excited about having those two young ladies in and getting to renew those relationships. And then Saturday evening, 7 o'clock. Bluefield comes to town.
Yeah, that's right. We got a football game as well, so we can get an opportunity to have our blackout game at night and wear our black jerseys for the first time this year. Guys are excited about that, and chance to play another home game and from a stellar, UPIKE crowd. So really, really excited about the opportunity to play Dewey Lusk and the Bluefield Rams.
I'm excited about playing them here. That's an odd
Yeah.
place over there, man, when you
It
go over
is.
there and play at Bluefield.
Yeah, it's we played at Crampton Bowl, which was where they used to have the old blue-gray game when we were at Faulkner, and it was a beautiful stadium, but sure
Been
empty.
in there before, too.
Sure empty, and that's kind of the deal at Bluefield too. They can have a great crowd and still just doesn't look very great. So
I agree.
hopefully they travel well, buy some tickets and some hot dogs, and enjoy what's always kind of an eventful football game with them. I think their quarterback's a dynamite little kiddo, and I think Dewey does a great job there with Bluefield.
First time I was at Crampton Bowl, we went in and played. The second time, Charlie and I, because we do things like this when we're on the road, we knew that Hank Williams was buried in the same town. So we thought, we'll just go to his grave and pay our respects and see what that looks like. So we did, and we're standing there, and I said, all right, Charlie, I'm ready to go if you are. And I turned, and son of a gun, we were right outside Crampton Bowl.
Yeah, that's right. You can actually see that headstone and people gathering around it from the press box when you coach. So I think they do tours, and they've got a museum downtown. Pretty neat situation.
It is.
Was there a tear in your beer that day?
No, not really, but it was interesting to see that all that, and the really interesting part was that, like, the grave is not covered with grass; they've got AstroTurf on it. That's how
Yeah.
much traffic they get, boy.
Well, what's funny is today we're just randomly talking about that, and you got a Montgomery, Alabama guy.
That's
that we're
right.
gonna
We got
speak
one
with
right here.
So
And
Mr. Flowers.
I'm excited about that, and also the other guy we're going to talk to today, Jalen Royal Island, is from a town I've always heard a lot about but never actually been to. Is Youngstown, Ohio. So
That's
I'm really
right.
excited to
the
talk to him.
Youngstown Mafia, home of all the Stoops boys, home of all the, I guess, oh man, what was the old 49ers owner? I just lost his name.
Oh yeah, Modell.
No, that wasn't it. I'll
Not
remember.
him. Oh, 49ers, you said. I
Yeah.
was thinking about the Browns because
Yeah.
of the Ohio connection there. Bluefield coming in, Coach, you mentioned their quarterback. This is kind of the third week in a row that we're playing a team with a quarterback who knows what they're doing, although this one, I understand, he likes to keep it on the ground a little more than slinging around.
Yeah, he's a little bit more Johnny Manziel. He was probably the best, second best passing quarterback behind Lee in the conference last year and the past couple years, but he's lost a few of his receivers, and I think he's been beat up, banged up a little bit, and he came back last week to play in their game against KCU, which they won 20-19. So Nate's always a kid that we got to look out for and a little bit dangerous. So schematically, they can sling it at times and cause us some problems over the years. So really trying to get those defensive backs to focus in on the end game here, and those defensive linemen to understand that if you can keep him in the pocket, he's a lot less dangerous than if you'll allow him to get outside and make plays with his feet.
So when you talk about that, it brings me to this question. We are known to sling it, right? But when you've added the aspect of Amon Williams with 3 straight 100-yard rushing games, to prepare to play us, that has to be even more of a problem for the defensive coordinators in those schemes.
Yeah, I don't know how people really perceive us right now. When we're really throwing it and not running it real well in years, I can kind of anticipate this point in the year what you're going to get schematically. People are going to start playing 2-man. They're going to try to start pressing you and just try to take away the passing game. But, when you've been fairly balanced in the last 3 weeks, if you look in conference play, we're averaging 58 points a game, which is all fair and game and, a lot of fun. But, also, you look at, we're about 560 yards a game, and 200 of those are rushing yards, and 300 plus are through the air. You just look and you go, okay, what are people going to do to shut down one to make you do the other, and which one are they more scared of? Are they more scared of the rushing attack, or are they more leery of the passing attack? I don't know. I think it just depends, the poison they want to pick. And, I hope we continue to run the football really well, because that's a lot of fun to see those big guys blocking, those little guys running, and even Lee, with 6 touchdown, runs over the past, 3 weeks in conference play are good. So as long as we can continue to be balanced, being an air raid guy, I've heard all the, godfathers of what we do, Leach and Mummy and those guys talk about, balance is everybody touching the ball. It's not necessarily, running the football and passing the football. If you look at our stats, we got 5 or 6, or more receivers that touch the ball every week. We got a couple guys running the rock, so it's we feel like we're pretty balanced right now in terms of who's touching it, and that's a good thing for us.
And to elaborate on that a little bit, the guy we're going to talk to is our leading receiver. And with Lee having way over 2,000 yards, you'd think there'd be somebody closer to 1,000, but 534 yards is leading the team right now in receiving yards. So I know I'm asking an offensive guy this defensive question, but when you talk about what you just talked about, do you think that the opposing teams are going to try to steer you toward, or if whatever they do best, like if they're good? If they block the running game, do you think they're going to want to encourage us to?
Yeah, I think you always want to take away what you're good at first, as a defensive structure. This week it's a 4-down front. They do some good things in the box. Their offensive line coach, Coach Ketchum, was the offensive line coach last year, is now their defensive coordinator. He's been a DC many times in his career. We watch the film, and they do a really good job of mixing up coverages. You might see, on consecutive snaps, 4 different coverages. You might see cover 4, cover 2, cover 3, maybe some cover 0. So I think they're going to give a better variation and not keep the picture static for Lee. So it'll be interesting.
Lee's made a lot of people look like cover 0.
Yeah,
in his career here, that's for sure.
He has, and no more humble guy about it. He could care less what his stats are. He just wants to win football games, hang out with his buddies.
Yeah, that's kind of what he's really good at right now. There's no question about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Coach. We mentioned him already. Jalen Royal Island on the offensive side, and Jeff Flowers, defensive guy. I ran into him in the preseason. Talked to him a little bit.
Yeah, both dynamic human beings. Jalen comes to us. Kind of a transfer portal guy out of Division III ranks, where he was just a stud. He was looking for a scholarship opportunity, so he came in here and, really, kind of just tried to get going and fit in. Where does he play? Which position out of the 4 receivers? And he's really bounced around between 2, and both inside receiver positions, and done a really, really great job. He's just, we're going to miss Soto and some of those guys as they graduate, but to have him in the hopper, and contributing in a big way right now is really exciting for him and his future. He seems to love it here at Pikeville. He seems to fit in. I see him, hip to hip with a girlfriend from time to time. So, ladies, I don't know if he's on the market, but it sure doesn't seem like it. So, then we've got Jeff Flowers, who's a grad transfer from Alabama State.
Alabama State.
And played at Alabama Christian Academy there in Montgomery, and so he came all the way up here and brought his little brother with him too, who's a dynamite freshman defensive lineman at nose, and really has added a really good pass rush and run stop element to our defense. And we had some good defensive ends there, but he's really challenged those guys and pushed for playing time, and you're seeing the productivity he's got. In addition to that, he's a guy that wants to go on to be a chiropractor. So, he's getting an MBA and going to go on to chiropractic school. He spends a little time around a chiropractic office I know here in town.
Yeah.
So
you know somebody, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So, we're excited. Mom's a professor, instructor at Alabama State, so comes from a family that understands higher education and values it, and just couldn't ask for two better brothers and a better family to be a part of this program right now.
Who else you got with you here today?
Hey, we got a few people running around today. We've got some coaches and some different folks, and but we invited a few people that had some meetings off campus today, so a little bit lonesome. We got a few of our running backs and different guys over there and receivers and hanging out, eating. Got some kids stumbling out of class. They'll kind of come and go. Mike Pacheco, our outgoing director of HR and operations, he's going to come eat with us here, and he was out of town when the HR folks came here the other day, so we're really excited to visit and fellowship with Mike. He's been a big part of why we took this job, and
So we're not leaving Mike out because he was out of town.
Nah, we didn't leave Big Mike out, so
yeah.
Did not. So absolutely.
All right, Coach, we'll step away from you and bring in one of those players, and we'll be back after this. You're watching the UPIKE Football Coaches Show live from Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville, Kentucky. Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings, UPIKE Football Coaches Show. I'm Rick Bentley. I'm your host. He's Jeff Flowers, 6'2", 230-pound graduate student, plays defensive end here, and Coach was bragging about you a minute ago. Saying some good things about you, which is good.
Yes, sir.
You wouldn't think he would know about the defensive side, but he does pay a little bit of attention.
Yeah, I guess so. He favors the offense a little bit.
Yeah. Yes, he does. Montgomery, Alabama. Been there a few times. Crampton Bowl, playing down there. So did you ever get to play in Crampton Bowl? That's a big place, man.
Yes, sir. I've played in Crampton Bowl actually once. Well, I didn't play, but I was on the sideline.
Okay.
It was at Alabama Christian. We were playing against Lanier, and they put quite a whooping on us.
Did they?
So, and I was a freshman, so I didn't get much play time, but I was able to get down on the field.
It's an interesting place to play a high school or small college game because it's so big. It's like the Crampton Bowl. For those who didn't hear what Coach said a minute ago, the blue-gray game that used to be played on Christmas Day every year, that's where they played it. And I used to sit at home and watch that thing all the time, and then we wound up playing down there. Like, they put a few more people in here for that bowl game than we get down here. But it's a really cool place to play. It's just really big for our level of football.
It is really big. They have the Camellia Bowl there every year, so there's teams across the nation that come and play there. And
I was telling Coach that one of the times I was in Montgomery, we went to the graveside of Hank Williams.
Yes, sir.
Music singer, and it's right there beside the stadium. I didn't realize that.
Right downtown, yes, sir.
Yeah, it's like you're in the end zone of the stadium when you're looking at that grave here. So 12 tackles, 11 of them solos. 4 tackles against KCU. You had a big sack last week. Things are coming on.
Yes, sir.
How's your playing time coming for you?
I've enjoyed my experience here so far. Playing with such an experienced D-line group. You got Ben, Myson, Poulet, Monte, Landon, and my younger brother, of course, along with the other younger guys. I've enjoyed playing here and working into the rotation with them.
We're going to get to your younger brother in a little bit. Tell me what you major in.
I major in biology.
You majored in biology, and now you're getting an MBA.
Yes, sir. Well, undergrad, I majored in biology. Right now, I'm getting my MBA.
That was my question.
Yes,
what did you? I should have said, what did you major in? But you're smart enough to pick up on that. Now you're getting your MBA because you want to be a chiropractor. I got a shoulder. Can you work it out for me now?
Let me go through school first, and I'll come back and I'll see you.
All right. And I understand that Coach's wife is helping you out a little bit, right?
Yes, sir. I enjoy going up to her office and getting fixed up. My spine was a little bit messed up, so I had to go up there so she could get me right.
I'll tell you, I've lost. Okay, for the story I'm about to tell you, I've lost about 80 pounds. But I went to a chiropractor, and I would go to him like 3 days a week, and once every other week, he would pop my back, which was really what I wanted him to do anyway, but he said, we're not going to do that. So the first time he did it, now keep in mind, me plus about 80 pounds, he said, all right, put your arms like this, now lean back on me. I was like, are you serious, Chip? He said, Rick, trust me, I can handle you. Just lean back, and I would lean back, and he would just kind of do that. My whole spine would pop, and that was one of the great feelings of all time right there.
Oh, yes. I get a good shot of dopamine whenever I get adjusted every time. I feel great afterwards.
So tell me, you mentioned your brother, Jalen.
Yes, sir.
So did you get to play with him in high school at all?
Actually, I didn't. I'm way older than him. So when he was in middle school, we went to the same school. We both went to ACA. Right. But when he was in middle school, I was in high school. So, and when I was graduating, he was in the 7th grade. So I never got a chance to play with him. So I didn't think in a million years I'd get a chance to play football with him ever.
And now you're on the same team here. Obviously, you're getting a little more playing time than he is at this point, but it's coming for him, right?
Yes, sir. We actually line up together a lot. It's surreal just lining up next to him and playing next to him. And I'm still not able to fully wrap my head around it. It's like a dream come true.
So, and he's a nose, and I think Rowe starts at nose for us, right?
Yes, sir.
And so he's getting some reps in there. And like you said, you're a defensive end, but Myson and Ben have been here forever. Like they started the program or something with us, and they're still playing here. So, all that playing time, you guys are having to earn your keep, but you're doing it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tell me what's it. So when he lines up, what are you seeing out of your brother?
Man,
Are you surprised by anything you're seeing?
I'm not surprised by what he's doing because I know he's a heck of an athlete and he can do anything he puts his mind to. But he has surprised me in the aspect of how much he's progressed in such a short amount of time. I went back and when we went back and watched the film, I'm not able to see what he's doing on the field because I'm out there with him. So when we went back and watched the film, I was like, man. He's splitting these double teams, and it just surprised me.
I met Jeff about 2 weeks after they'd reported. We were in the parking lot, ran into each other. We were just having a conversation. You told me your name, and hey, my brother's here too, and he's good. You're going to put down stats for both of us this year, right? I remember that part of that conversation. I thought that's really good of Jeff in that. Like he's confident in himself, but also don't forget about my brother because he's pretty good too.
Oh, yeah, we definitely look out for each other all the time.
That's good. So you've had 2 sacks this year. What do you remember?
Sir?
2 sacks so far this year. What do you remember about the sacks?
I remember on my first one, it was against Campbellsville.
Mm-hmm.
The tackle kind of – it wasn't like a real block. He was trying to wall me off, and it was also the back's job to pick me up. But I remember, I think, swimming inside of the back and I was unblocked, and I came from the quarterback's blind side. When I tackled him, the ball fell out. And this past week, I was sent on like a stunt. I had a stick step. I went inside. I went through a lot of trash, popped up on the other side. The quarterback tried to escape through the other side, and I got him down. I was able to get him down.
So the first sack and the forced fumble were on the same play?
Yes, sir.
So you popped that ball loose.
Yes, sir.
Did we recover that one, or did they get it back?
Unfortunately, they got it back. But
that's all right.
Yes, sir.
You still got your forced fumble. That's all that matters. Your stats look good, right?
Yeah, but ultimately, I want a team win.
Yeah, that's right. And unfortunately, it didn't happen that particular night, but we're doing pretty well right now, though. Tell me about your experience in Pikeville. I know it's a little different than Montgomery, Alabama.
Yes, sir.
For one thing, it's not nearly as hot and humid here as it is in Montgomery, Alabama. And also, it's a little smaller than Montgomery, right?
Yes, sir. A little bit smaller.
Tell me what you think about Pikeville so far.
Man, I love it here. The people are super nice. Of course, you said it's not like Montgomery. When I was – I lost my train of thought. I was about to say, oh, it's not as mountainous there as it is here. When we went down there, a bunch of my teammates were dying. And I remember just all the fall camps down there. Man, I was already kind of used to it, but when we went back down there, I was like, man.
Get out of it, and you get out of it in a hurry, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Well, I will tell you this much, though. That's the good part here. You're about to experience the bad part because I'm imagining the winters are a little more mild in Montgomery, Alabama than you're going to have here. So the winters, it's a little cooler up here than it is down there in Montgomery.
Well, it does get pretty cold in Montgomery sometimes. Even when I was at Alabama State, we practiced really early in the morning before the sun came up. So we'll be practicing 20-degree, 15-degree weather. So the weather hadn't killed me so far, but it does get pretty cold up here.
Yeah, it will. You'll be fine now. When you come back after Christmas, that's when you'll notice a big difference. What's been your highlight so far for you? Be on the field, off the field, whatever you want to talk about.
Man, just being around the team and a great group of guys and just, interacting with them and watching my brother interact with them and just the camaraderie has been my favorite part so far.
I don't see you two together a lot when I see you guys on campus. So it's nice that you're kind of spreading out a little bit, right?
Yes, sir. Guys on the team say that. They say, we just never see you and your brother together or talking. But I don't know. We've been together. I stayed my 4 years undergrad in the city, so we've already been seeing each other a lot.
Right.
And we both got our own things going on. I live off campus. He lives on campus. But we get along just fine.
Yeah, everything's good between the two of you. Don't have to worry about that. And so that has to be really unique. I keep going back to it that you've got your younger brother on the team. We don't see a whole lot of that on this level because usually if you're pretty good, that's one thing, but then your brother might be pretty good too, but he's got his own level to get to. You don't see it together. It's a whole lot.
Yes, sir. We got of course we got Jordan and Grant Scott, and we got the Sayer brothers. So that's really rare to have 3 groups of brothers on the same team.
I knew the Scott brothers. I didn't know the Sayer brothers.
Yes, sir. They're twins.
Are they?
Twins.
Nice.
They both play offensive line.
Well, you and your brother aren't twins. He's a little bit bigger than you, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
But that's okay. Having a good time here playing football at Pikeville. Jeff, we're really happy to have you here. I hope you finish up strong, and I hope when you go home this Christmas you tell people, man, this is a place you got to come see. Because we'd like to have some more you Alabama boys up here playing football for us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thanks for your time here, and we'll be back after this. We'll talk to Jalen Royal Island after this. You're watching the UPIKE Football Coaches Show live from Buffalo Wild Wings. Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings UPIKE Football Coaches Show. I'm Rick Bentley. He is Jalen Royal Island. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get right to the questions with Jalen because a 5'9", 172-pound junior receiver, and 5'9", 172, you don't think about receiver that often, but, man, you're putting up some big numbers. Tell me about, like a lot of people would look at that as maybe a problem to overcome, but obviously you don't.
Yeah.
Tell me about your size. How does that help you as a receiver?
I would say it helps me against linebackers to move around them because they're bigger and slower guys. And I would say I'm very elusive, so, I'm able to like maneuver around other people.
Slot receiver?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you and like Diego, he's kind of not a lot bigger than you either, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's what we look for out of slot receivers. Youngstown, Ohio. I'm wanting to ask you about Youngstown, Ohio, because I'm a little bit familiar with that area. I know it was a steel industry, kind of dominant area like we are coal here. You were steel there, and like coal, maybe it's not as much of the steel industry there in Youngstown. Tell me what it's like growing up in Youngstown, Ohio.
I'm gonna say it's different. It's bigger than here for sure. There's a lot of stuff that goes around there that people shouldn't be getting into, but I try to stay away from that.
Obviously, you're doing a pretty good job of that. 33 catches, 534 yards, and 6 touchdowns. You lead the team in yards, and you lead the team in touchdown receptions. Pretty good numbers for you so far in your first year here.
Yes, sir.
Tell me what it's been like with Lee as your quarterback.
I'm gonna say it's great having a very experienced quarterback. He helps you out if you don't know anything, or tells you to do this route a certain way to get open and stuff. So it's been a great experience.
And having Diego with his experience there to help you out too, I imagine that helps out.
Yeah, I feel like all the receivers just help each other out. We're a very close group, I feel like, and without them, I can't get open. So
Right. A lot of times people think of jealousy amongst the receiving corps because they want the ball. Everybody wants the ball, and you know, throw it to one. But that's not the case with you guys, is it?
no, not at all.
So-
All of us know we're gonna get the ball.
Here's the other interesting thing about your 6 touchdowns. Yes, there's a 6-yarder. Yes, there's a 4-yarder. But the first one was 49 yards. And then there was 27 and a 34 and another 49-yarder. So when you get the ball, you know what to do with it. You know where the end zone is, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what those, any of those stand out to you? Any of those?
I would say the first game against Campbellsville when I got hit, then ran all the way down. They almost called it back for a fumble, but they said it was a touchdown.
Yep. And then the other 49-yarder, that was Saturday night, right?
Yes, sir.
And what were they trying to do to you? Because I think I was telling Coach, we had home soccer, and I missed the first quarter. By the time I got home, we were through the first quarter, started watching the game. So that happened late in the first quarter. So tell me what that was.
So the defense thought the receivers were fake blocking, and we just shot up, and they just didn't see me, I guess, and I was right down the field, wide open.
So the 49-yarders, are those Lee throwing the ball downfield, or you catching it and getting yourself downfield?
A little bit of both,
Yeah.
but the last game it was Lee throwing it down the field.
Oh, yeah. Good. You got to be nice to Lee or you won't throw your ball next time, right? 8 catches, 109, and a touchdown on Saturday night at Union. I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of those numbers. You're getting it done right there. 8 catches. And Diego's a little bit banged up, so you're getting maybe a little more opportunities. I don't know how that works. But we have so many offenses where we're just like if I look out there, we've only got 4 receivers. I'm like, that's a little different for us because we have a lot of people out there who catch the football.
Yes, sir.
And Amon can catch the football out of the backfield, and so all those guys can back there. So Tyrese Christian can as well. Tell me about. Let's get off the field a little bit. What are you majoring in?
Business management.
Business, good. And was that what you were doing at JUCO too?
I was at a 4-year.
Oh, you were. Okay, not at JUCO. And decided to transfer. And how did we find you? How did you find out about us?
Transfer portal. Coach Sinelli hit me up on Twitter. Then came up on a visit in December.
Good deal. And like it instantly, or?
Oh yes, for sure.
Good deal. And tell me, in your time here, what's it been like? Like, what's Pikeville like for you?
I like it here because it's more quiet. People are nice. It's a little different from my town, but I like the view up there.
Yeah,
I just like how
overlook?
quiet it is and how nice people are, for sure.
And so we practice up there, and it's not far from the overlook. I guess that's easy for you to find your way up there, right?
Yes, sir.
I know you guys practice up there around or inside the track, which brings another question to me. Typically, when you're a college football team and you're practicing, what you see at a college football practice is football practice, and that's not always the case up there. And you guys have gotten involved in some elementary school, middle school track and field cross-country runs and that sort of thing.
Yes, sir.
That's kind of unusual to see, but you guys seem to really enjoy that aspect.
Yeah, I like seeing the kids having fun out there and doing their thing.
And, they look up to you guys. I mean, you guys go over and slap them 5 or something. They don't forget that, man. And they'll remember your name and your number all along. I've asked you about being a deep threat. 300-yard games so far. Maybe I think I'm wrong about that. I think it's 400-yard games because you have one the first week and then you've had 3 straight in league play. So it's 4 now, 100-yard games. And that tells me that you're pretty consistent about being active and being involved in what's going on.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, any of those games stand out to you? I know the first one probably does because it was the first one. What kind of numbers were you putting up at your other school?
At my other school, we didn't throw the ball that much. We were a very run-dominant team, but I had a couple 100-yard games every season.
And coming here, you got to really when you see our offensive scheme, you got to be like, oh, this is where I need to be, right?
Yes, sir.
So you like that a whole lot better. I mean, and the thing is, Amon's added that rushing aspect to what we're doing here too, and so he's got 300-yard rushing games, and so when you can put together, 350, 400-yard passing games and have a 100-yard rusher, that's got to cause some problems for some defensive guys.
Yes, sir.
So tell me your favorite thing about Pikeville so far in your time here.
My favorite thing?
Yeah, it can be about football. It can be about off the field. It can be something in the classroom, something, anything like that you've got going on.
I would say,
'Cause you mentioned how nice people are to you, which is good to hear.
I would say the professors. The professors are pretty nice. They actually try to help everyone succeed in the class and want to see you do good and graduate.
Want to see you succeed on the field, off the field, in society, when you go to work. We want you to take all that with you. And I always say, the best recruiters for us aren't the recruiting people, aren't the coaches, it's you guys, right?
Yes, sir.
You guys, you tell people what it's like here. Like, you guys know what it's like. Like, when we bring people in, and you'll see that as we go on in the season, or in the school year after the season ends and they start bringing people on campus. Like, you'll be the guy with some experience here. You'll know what they're going through, and you can help them to try to make a better decision. Are you looking forward to that aspect of it too?
Yes, sir.
You want to be involved in everything, huh? That's good. That's what we like to hear. So, 534 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. You can tell Lee, look, Lee, man, we got 3 games left in the regular season. I need some yards here to get to 1,000. You're going to have to start sharing that ball over here a little bit more. Share that sugar with me a little more, right?
Yes, sir.
You guys get along in that receiving room, so everything will be okay there. And I can imagine being a receiver in this offensive scheme. Like, we talk about Lee and give him credit for everything because, he's one out there getting it done. But, coaches, like, this is not the first Lee Kirkland he's coached. Like, he's been around different people. Hal Mummy was, he was an assistant to Hal Mummy. He knows all those guys in that air raid system. So, as a wideout, I can't imagine a better place for you to go than to be right here.
Yes, sir.
So you've liked playing here. You like this scheme. We have to, get you another quarterback after this year, but let's just make the most of this year and we'll go on from there. How's that?
Day by day, yes, sir.
All right, that's Jalen Royal Island. We'll be back after this with Coach Phipps to wrap things up after this year, watching the UPIKE Football Coaches Show for Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville, Kentucky. Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings. Rick Bentley with Coach Corey Phipps here to wrap things up. And, Coach, again, two guys who are just fascinating to sit and talk to.
Yeah, we've got a pretty eclectic group, I guess. Is that the big ACT word I need to use? Yeah, good guys, good people. Going to be great members of the community someday.
I think that both of them, like Jeff was really surprised that I, knew Crampton Bowl. I knew Montgomery a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to talk to those guys. He said he had been on a team that played in Crampton Bowl one time. He was a freshman in high school, didn't play very much, and got beat pretty bad. So maybe that wasn't a great memory for him
maybe not
to have there. Bluefield coming in, Coach. What's the game plan there?
Yeah, I think the game plan is what it always is for us. We're going to get out there, and the defense is going to tell us whether we throw it or run it. In terms of the structure and the box numbers, and then we're going to try to corral a pretty athletic quarterback, and try to make him stay in the pocket and beat us with his arm versus out there Johnny Manzielling it on the perimeter.
So tell me about the other aspect. And sometimes, like I remember when I was a sports writer and I would do these game previews. When Bill Allaire was the coach at Pikeville High School, anytime I asked him in the playoffs, what's going to be the key? So I'm going to tell you the key to the game is going to be on the special teams.
Yeah,
Who controls the special teams? I
think there's a lot of truth to that. For me, I think, if you look at football today, if you can possess the football and not turn it over, and I joke with the kids, the only statistic that's never ever been wrong is who scores the most points wins.
Right.
So. I think it could be a high-scoring affair. I think they could take some things away. It could be a low-scoring affair. We just don't know yet. And I think Dewey's a heck of a coach. He was at UVA Wise for many, many years, and Emory Henry is assistant, and become a good friend. And so we know a lot about those guys. But this is the first time they've had a different defense coordinator since I played a Dewey Luck's Bluefield team. So it's going to be a little bit different. We used to just roll out the exact same game plan every year and had some pretty good success and scored a bunch of points. But now they're making us think and move the chess pieces a little bit more.
You ever spend much time thinking, if I was coaching the other team, how would I try to defend us? What would I try to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you think I think more than I do. I just, a little bit. You kind of do that, but I think when you're more of a 4 wide receiver team like we are, there's only half a dozen things people can do to you from week to week, and in the old days we used to see a lot of different defenses on Saturday than you might have seen or thought you were going to see based on their game film. But now in today's game, I think people have adapted to the spread structures so much that, they are who they are because they're already playing with kind of a third safety where they've taken kind of that true Sam outside linebacker off the field and made it a nickel DB guy.
And when you look at that sort of thing, my question is going to be, if I can get it out, about the new game film system, where you have, used to be you'd trade film,
right,
and you'd have one tape to look at, and it was the one they gave you. And now with this new system we've got, you can see everybody's game, every game.
Yeah, at some point we put it all in the open library and trade it, and so we've got access to every one of their games from this year. And sometimes you go, well, that game film's not really worth watching on this side of the ball because that team's so different than us. They might be a triple option team or something. So, I still kind of stick to, the last 3, 4, or 5 games, depending on the point of the year of, who they are. And, there's been some, situations where maybe defense coordinator is out with health issues or something. You're going, well, he didn't call that game. So those tendencies, we're going to watch it. We're going to break it down. But those tendencies weren't his tendencies. So there's always a little bit of that, a little bit of gamemanship too, trying to okey-doke each other and trick each other.
I don't believe for 1 minute that a coach would send you a game film where you could look at what they did against a run-oriented team. I just don't believe that would happen.
Yes, we looked at their Thomas film very first game of the year from Thomas University Upstart program. I think they're in the second year down from Thomasville, Georgia, and then sometimes they were flex bone triple option, sometimes they were spreads. That game, there were some snaps in there that are meaningful to break down, but then some that's so different, so foreign to who we are that it wasn't worth it.
7 o'clock start. It's getting kind of late in the season. Encourage people to come out and bundle up a little bit.
Absolutely. It's going to be probably a little bit of a cool night. I think mid-60s is the high for the day, so we're excited to get out there in our all black and let it fly a little bit.
We'll get that, and we only got one more home game.
After this, yes.
after
This is our
this one.
second to last home game. Come out and support the Bears and see us spin it around a little bit.
So here's what we got. We got Bluefield on Saturday night. Next week we go to Georgia, Point University down there. Actually, that's not true. Point University is in Georgia. We're going to Alabama to play them.
That's right. Valley High School. They're in Alabama.
That's a really weird situation they've got going there. And then we're back here to wrap things up, the final home game of the season. That'll be Senior Day coming up, and now all of a sudden it's slipped my mind who that team is.
St. Andrews.
St. Andrews will be that opponent. So we got 2 more opportunities to see the Bears play. So come on out and see this team because they're a lot of fun and they're going to playoffs. You heard that from me. You didn't hear him say that. We're going to playoffs, but he doesn't like hearing me say it.
We're
He's
week to
certainly
week,
not gonna say
man.
it and
We're week to week.
Yeah. So we got that going on. Coach, anything else we got going on this week?
No, that's it.
Okay, well, that's going to wrap things up here for us. So we appreciate you guys joining us here for this show. We appreciate our friends from Pike TV who are always around here to help us out. And then the one week they weren't, we really learned why we watched the Pike TV here because, you know, you had Wyatt and I setting everything up, and that's not really always a great thing. So we want to thank them for everything they do here and for Coach Corey Phipps and these players. I'm Rick Bentley. Until next week, you've been watching the UPIKE Football Coaches Show from Pikeville, Kentucky and Buffalo Wild Wings.
Achieve your dreams at the University of Pikeville.